evening and probably good night from yammybtv. Sending loads of love to you as usual. Nearly forgot that bit. Just to let you all know, from this weekend and probably next week, I'm going to be in Scotland. I've got a backlog of podcasts, like I told you, I had to do for quite some time. Rather than going back and forth to Scotland to do these young gentlemen and ladies, I'm going to do 4 or 5 in the space of 2 or 3 weeks. So if you're looking to look for me from Friday onwards, Saturday onwards, I'm not going to be around. I'll probably be setting off to Scotland very, very early. And I'm looking forward to it as well. So get ready for that. After that, probably Devon, probably after that Wales, probably after that Manchester. I'm going to do the rounds now and we're going to get the job done because I feel ready. We've been building up to this moment over the last few weeks. We know that things are moving on quite quickly for us all now. So it's time for me to deliver. Tonight, I'm coming up with a late night video and it is about bullies. We know that bullies are not tolerated in prison. Well, in the old days, they weren't. It's fair to say, in my experiences, the younger generation bully more now than like the old days, for instance. When I was last in prison, which was 2017-18, 2018, I think. When did I come out? Oh, 2019 I come out. Up until then, the bullying that I saw throughout that last 8-year sentence, which I did about 7 out of it, from 2012, 13, 14 onwards, I'd never seen as much bullying as I saw during that sentence. And they are all from the younger age group, right? In the old days, a bully would be spotted from miles away and would get dealt with accordingly. There was no bully that I remember way back in the day that didn't come unstuck at some stage. So we're going to go back, we're going to go forward. I'm also going to give you, I don't normally talk about people on yammybtv, but I'm not going to say his whole name, but I'm just going to give you part of his name. He's done a documentary and many people have asked me who do I think was the hardest man I ever met in different parts of the country. And this name keeps getting mentioned. And honestly, I have to fall on the floor laughing. Hold on one second. I'm sorry, Slurper, the person that keeps going on about it, but I've got to have my drink, mate. My earliest memory and my early learning about bullies obviously came in Aylesbury, right? That was the teaching ground about, you know, what can happen to bullies. And what I saw with my own eyes during those days, because you had the odd bully, the one that could, you know, who would want to tax people and take their things and, you know, stick it on people. But they were few and far between, it's fair to say. The ones that I talk about in my videos, there weren't much more than those ones around at that time. There are many similar, but if we're looking at today's era, and I saw that era as well, going back from 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, right up until I got the injuries. I'd never seen the level of bullying I've seen now from the younger generation. It seems to be very, very accepted and normal these days to be picking on people and violating them in whatever way. I saw some things on that last sentence that could never, ever have taken place back in the day. We're living in different times, so be it. But in the early days, Aylesbury, right? My earliest memory of a bully coming unstuck was from a travelling geezer called Bill Smith. Now, many of you talk about travelling families and the Smiths. I don't know if he's related to any of you lot. From the travelling community. I know I've got a few travellers and gypsies that watch me, but this Bill Smith was with me in Aylesbury in 1982, 1983, right? And I think he got starred up quite early because I think he was about 20. He looks older to me, by the way, so it could be that he got to Aylesbury, sneaked in at a young age, I don't know, or maybe he was just actually 20 years old, right? But it was quite obvious that he could have a row, right? He weren't one of those that used to talk about fighting a lot or nothing like that. He never used to say, oh, I can do this, I can do that, I'm up for it every day. You know, many people talk a good one along the years, and when it comes down to it, they haven't got a lot in the tank, if you get what I mean. And the worstest thing a bully ever has to face is having talked himself. We talked about it before in the past on my show many times anyway. But a guy called Sharky, his name was Sharky Dixon, right? Really strange. He turned out, I read about him in the newspaper years and years later, and he turned out to be a serial rapist, right? He was from South London, and he was on A-Wing in Aylesbury, right? Bill Smith was on either A or C. I can't remember which, right? But Sharky used to go around bullying people quite a lot. Like, as far as I remember, my memory goes back quite far. During those days, Delroy Matthews was there. A lot of the names I've talked about were there. And he basically, I saw with my own eyes, pick on at least 3 people. He was quite muscly and whatnot. And I see him pick on at least 3 people that really, in reality, couldn't fight him back. They couldn't even respond by throwing punches back. In fact, they were like cowardly ducking down and like had tears in their eyes. And it was not a nice sight to see, you know, when someone basically, oh, what'd you say, mate? Bang, bang, crash, crash, crash. And he didn't really say anything, if you get what I mean. This went on for a period of like just under a year. And I often used to wonder how long he would reign for, because I'd seen certain bullies come unstuck already, but this was the first time I'd seen a bully get absolutely annihilated after calling it on, right? And the person's name he fell out with, like I said already, was Bill Smith. He's from the travelling community, right? He funny geezer, was full of jokes and whatnot. I think he was doing a 4 stretch, and he got started up quite early and he left early, right? One day we was all down the gym, and the usual nonsense in the YPs. Sharky was doing what he normally does, is my game, my bar, my dumbbell, my this, my that, everything's mine. And there was a lot of people that wanted to say things, and no one did. Mainly because they were scared of him, or mainly they just didn't want to get into any fights with him, if you get what I mean. I often found during my time in prison, the loudest man could probably end up being the weakest man, if you get what I mean. That's quite a true saying. Not always the case though. There are some that could back up their talk, but very few and far between, right? So they've ended up having a ding-dong, right? So I know that Bill has had his eye on him for quite some time, because during back and forth from work, Bill used to always drop comments in with his travelling little accent. He used to always say, you know, what's this chav about? What is it all about? Like, what's he saying, kind of thing. So the day came when they actually got into a confrontation, and straight away Bill was on it. So Bill offered him out. No, sorry, he offered Bill out in the changing room. So right at the end of the gym, Aylesbury gone into the changing room, and he got absolutely slaughtered. Black eyes, fat lips, head caved in, just by his fist alone. He got left sprawled out on the floor. It looked like he'd been hit with weapons. So that was my earliest memory of a bully getting what he deserved. Now, right, there is a geezer, someone's told me, right, they've asked me, they said, Yammy, listen, there's a geezer called Gary S, right, we'll say he's from Portsmouth, a well-known name from Portsmouth, big lump, been around a long time, right, was on the Isle of Wight with me a few times, and been on telly as well, apparently. Some of you might know who I'm talking about already, but I don't care. I'm going to laugh because to me, I don't put you down as no hard man. If I think I can say it to your face, I'll say it on live TV as well, right? 1, you stuck it on someone, a little small geezer called Berry, right? I think I spoke a little bit about this the other day, and you come unstuck with Delroy Matthews, right? You went in the cell with Delroy Matthews. I was at the door, lurking as usual, and you went in the cell with Delroy Matthews. I was holding the door, but I could see you didn't really want to fight, right? You thought Delroy was going to back down when you got to the door, because you was marching towards the door, to his cell, actually. Like to say, you know, I'm up for this, I'm going to do you in, you wait till we get in there. And you was doing things like this, look, yeah, hurry up. He was trying to make it really look like that I can't wait to get you in there because I'm going to batter you. He got absolutely annihilated. I've told you about Delroy Matthews already, one of the toughest men that I ever met. He completely wiped the floor of him, left him on the floor, bloodied up, cleaned him up and kicked him out of the cell, basically. So when he came out of the cell, there was a little geezer called Berry, Agus, who was laughing at him, right? And this started from a week before on the football pitch, right? So this continued. Agus started laughing when he was walking down the landing with black eyes, holding some bits of towel on his eye where, you know, the officers didn't see. So he's going down the stairs. Agus is laughing at him, right? Like smirking kind of thing. And he's turned round and started on Agus, right? Started on Agus after getting your beating off a man who's not really your size, who's smaller than you, but, you know, you're not going to win a fight with Delroy Matthews. You thought you was going to win that, and thought you was going to go down in history as a man who got to do Delroy Matthews. You got done badly. So you went for the smallest man on the wing. You went for Agus Berry, and you started swinging at him, and you missed every single punch, and he continued to laugh at you. Berry didn't even throw one punch at you. Everyone stopped it. You was in a bad way. The screws walked you off the wing, and you were never seen again. So later on in life, I saw you again on the Isle of Wight on another occasion, and you remembered me. You knew that I knew, and you were still keeping up the same behaviour that you kept up back then. Only they weren't there, were they, when you got weighed in and when you got laughed at that time. So you got that same jacket on, but you're thinking no one's going to remember that. So to me, all an act. Because that's what it is sometimes. Because sometimes you can go places, get weighed in, nobody don't know about it until somebody comes somewhere else and says, yeah, I know him. He got weighed in by blah, blah, blah. That's how they know. Do you see what I mean? Because sometimes things don't catch up with you like that as quickly as you expect them to. News does travel in the end. It does catch up with you. Because if you go around telling everyone you can have a row and they believe you, and then it comes out that you've had everyone over for a couple of years thinking because you've got the size and all that, it means that you can have a row because you've mentioned fights that really haven't taken place, or you've mentioned fights that you've lost but really you got weighed in. When they found out, it soon changed your status or your status in that prison. So that Gary S who we're talking about, Sean, you know I'm talking to you, and I'm laughing because me and you both know. I don't know how he is now. I don't really care. I'm just clearing that matter up. What was the other one I was going to talk about? There was another bully. Oh, shit. Why do I always do this when I get 30 minutes? Is that enough to talk about bullying tonight? Or did I have one more? Did I have one more? I had one more tonight, didn't I? I had one more where bully... Frenchie Lalonde, right? Frenchie was... He was an illegal immigrant, right? He come to the Cates as well, right? He had a gold teeth in the front. Many of you might remember him, right? Because he used to come into the sparring ring and spar with a few people, and he could have a row, right? Or he could have a row. I remember him having a row with someone and putting him on the deck, but I remember the geezer getting up off the floor and battering him afterwards, right? So he can have a row, but an out and out bully. So one of those ones in England, don't know how long he'd been over here, but he was one of those, like, if you got a bit of puff, if you got phone cards, if you got canteen, if you got biscuits, if you got roll-ups, he turns up at the door with his big chest and he comes and he says, yeah, guess one of them, guess one of them. And one day he started on the smallest geezer on the wing. The only difference was the smallest geezer he started on the wing on was Thomas O'Rourke. Some of you have heard about Thomas O'Rourke, right? He can have a right row. He was involved in the Parkhurst riots way back in the day, and I think there was allegedly escaped for a long time, and I think he got a life sentence, or he got a long sentence, and he ended up getting caught near the end. I've lost touch with him, but all I know is I was good friends with him at one time, and he was close friends with one of my besties, Dwayne Daniels. Right, so Frenchie's come unstuck because he's got the wrong geezer on the wrong day, because Thomas is a bit strange. Like, now, he's one of those, if you say the wrong thing to him, being as small as he is, he looks at you and he thinks, straight away it's aggression. There's no backing down, there's no questioning, there's no talking or anything. It is straight and up and down on the spot. I was in the cell, I was thinking, oh no. So Frenchie's on a thing where, come out my way a little bit. He's too small for me. Come out my way. And you went like that. You tried to move with your hand. Thomas went crash. Give him about 8, 10, 12 punches. He was on one knee, and then he started kicking you all over the place, and you got weighed in. So those are the examples I'm using tonight for bullies. And listen out for my part 2 bullies, because I've seen quite a bit over the years. And I just thought I'd let you know that tonight before I go to bed, all right? So you got some content up here. Have a good night. I'll see you tomorrow. Sending loads of love.